I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of room for individual expression.
Agreed. That's essentially where I'm going with this, because you're right. You know, you're not going to see one that doesn't have Maui, or you're not without the library or any of that. But it looks like we are in our mulligan phase. So we got Cyril and we've got Thomas here. Looks like Cyril is going to be mulliganing 3 cards and keeping hold of 4.
Yep, so again, this matchup, a tale as old as time, 2 of the best performing decks throughout in Lorcana's entire history. And one of the most important interactions that I want to focus on really early is obviously the Steel Song deck, 9 times out of 10, wants to utilize a whole new world, wants to sing it with Ariel, Robin Hood, things like that. There are other routes, you can go Rapunzel, but whole new world tends to be a standard game plan. As a Ruby Amethyst player, if I know you're building to a whole new world, I don't feel too great about playing Rabbit, Bounce, Rabbit, Friends on the other side, because I'm just going to draw into cards that you're going to get rid of, and if I lose my B-Preps, my Tremaines, my Bedusas, things like that, then that could be super bad. So generally the Ruby Amethyst player against Steel Song, turn 4 they tend to go for more like a Merlin Goat as opposed to a Rabbit, and think a bit more about getting some more bigger characters onto the board. So it'll be super interesting to see if that comes up in this game. But we are ready to start. Both players mulligan. I'm sure we'll find out very shortly who will be going first. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we can already see. Oh, it looks like we've got a Cinderella Stout-Hearted going into the ink for Thomas, but no other turn 1 play. We go straight over to Cyril here. We are going to be inking a Merlin Goat and playing a Chernabog's Followers. So what we've got here is just your classic turn 1 play. You play an ink, you get Chernabog's Followers down on the board, and then you can be questing and drawing cards and all next turn. We see Robin Hood into the ink and Ursula Vanessa, a very good singer, coming down as our turn 2 play there. So back over to Cyril. You had the Chernabog's turn 1. What can we get for turn 2?
Yep, no, a really nice start, and this Ursula Vanessa immediately threatening things like Along Came Zeus, Strength of a Raging Fire, Storm Rage On, Bare Necessity. So yeah, a pretty nice start from both of our players. Moving into turn 2 now for Cyril, the Ruby Amethyst player. We're going to be inking a Kuzco. I'm a big fan of Kuzco. And down comes that snake to return the Chernabog Followers to the hand.
Yeah, I was going to ask, obviously every time you quest with Chernabog's Followers, you can banish it to draw a card. But if you need something to bounce with Merlin Snake, got to keep it on the board. Oh, and here's another good singing option. It's Ariel.
Oh, I was going to say, are we going to miss? But we do find that Along Came Zeus, Ariel allowing us to look at the top 4 cards of our deck, pick a song to go to your hand, and the rest go to the bottom in any order. So very nice to get a hit there, and then we are going to immediately sing that Zeus to take out the Madam Mim Snake. Not a bad start at all. We move into Cyril's turn 3. We do have a Brawl there, which could be something that we want to use to offset the Ariel to stop her singing. That is what we're going to see. A quick Brawl with Ariel, kick her out of the Snuggly Duckling, and back under the sea. There we go. That's got to be at least 10 points in the pun competition.
Of course. And back over to Thomas. Yeah, I need to try a little bit harder with that. Thomas here. We've got a whole new world. We've got Cinderella. We've got my boy, Mr. Smee. Love that card, but Cinderella more useful for the moment. No, Mr. Smee, we've got enough ink for the pair of them. I love Mr. Smee.
Ross, both. Both is good.
Yeah, both is good.
Both providing very different utility here, though. Obviously, Smee so well statted, even though he takes a damage at the end of the turn if there's no other captain. No one really cares. He's just so good. And Borum Sensation Cinderella not only threatening songs, but a shift line.
I'm honestly fine with questing with Mr. Smee 3 times, getting 6 lore, and then it just gets banished from its own self-damage.
Yep.
If I'm playing 2 lore, 2 ink and getting 6 lore in the next 3 turns, I'm good.
I'm happy.
Do you see Sisu coming down here? That is going to punish Thomas for having extra cards in hand, and it becomes a very good option for removing characters that Thomas may have left on the field exerted.
And I do want to point out, Cyril could have played the Merlin Rabbit on that turn, opted not to, doesn't want to build that hand up too much. Of course, Thomas isn't necessarily in a position to sing a whole new world yet. We don't have a singer for it, but still just thinking about extending to the board a little bit more, getting these formidable threats, things like Sisu, perhaps a goat. But yeah, immediately, that point I made at the beginning, perhaps just this matchup changing how Cyril wants to play this game.
Yeah, agreed. It is something you always need to think about. You cannot just play the same way in every matchup. If you know your hand is going to be at risk, you need to not keep too much in your hand. We do see Rapunzel gifted with healing hitting the board. We see Along Came Zeus taking out the Sisu. And we do, of course, have what I believe is the non-foil prize wall version.
Indeed, and beautiful she is. And hey, if you were interested in getting one of these Rapunzels, hey, you can get a foil one if you make top 32.
That's a lot lot to ask.
That is a lot to ask. But you can also get a non-full version at the DLCs through your points that you can accumulate in either the main competition or the side events. And what a beautiful piece to add to your collection. We're going to see Cyril inking that library that a lot of players are really enjoying. Down comes that Elf for 5th Spirit, another set 5 card that we've seen put in a lot of work today, Ross, and taking out that Cinderella.
Yeah, it's got rush, it's got evasive, and you exert a character when you play it, so you can immediately just exert the character you want to go after and then rush in to challenge them. It is a phenomenal card, and because it's so good, we've seen people playing the set 1 Elsa, because you're playing it anyway, you've got a good Elsa with shift, why not?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, Ross. I have seen a couple of Ruby Amethyst lists.
We've seen one on stream today.
There you go, exactly. Like, it does happen. If you're already running that 5th Spirit, then Spirit of Winter can be a really good addition to the deck. So, yeah, a really well-made point.
There's a cheeky one of, we got Daisy in hand, we got Prince Naveen, we got some good Shimmering Skies card options there for Thomas. Of course, Daisy's far better on the first turn of the game. Oh, actually 2 Daisy and 2 Naveen in hand, along with a Robin Hood, a Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain. So a lot of good cards there. Which ones do we want particularly now?
Well, this is a situation, again, where, Thomas doesn't feel like much of a need to play a whole new world anytime soon. He can just accumulate those cards. But Cyril is at a point here where maybe he does need to start playing these rabbit drawing cards because, yes, you do need to do it reservedly so that you're not just throwing away a whole hand when your opponent plays a whole new world. But at the same time, if you just continue to play passive and Thomas just continues to go wide like this, you're going to lose the game anyway. So Cyril, though, with quite a healthy hand, we've got a couple of Sisu, friends. So far from over. Player 1 already, though, at 9 lore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, is it worth just popping down those 2 Daisy on the board, forcing Cyril to deal with them, or else giving you 4 extra lore next turn? You're already up by 8, really just press the advantage. You don't really need to, but it's certainly something I'd be thinking of. We're inking and we're playing. Ooh, it's another Sisu. We've got a pair of them.
Sisu. Yeah, no, you make a good point, Ross. Although if I was Thomas, I would worry about extending with 2 Daisies here because we are going into the dreaded Be Prepared turn. But maybe worth holding those Daisies for after the Be Prep so that we immediately have an extension. But you make a good point. Sometimes you just got to roll the dice, right?
Oh, I like it. I mean, it's my natural play style. I tend to go a little bit wide, a little bit early. Yeah, I like it. I need to stress in my play, not in my demeanor.
Yes.
I'm a cheery chap. I promise you, if you play me in Lorcana, I'm going to be a cheery chap, but I'm going to be playing lots of 1 costs at Quest for 2.
He does like to play an aggressive game plan. And hey, sometimes that can pay off. And like I mentioned it earlier, said by Zach Bivens, there comes a point in a day where you need to decide, did you come to play or did you come to win? And sometimes you got to take risks if you want to win. Nice board, though, for Cyril. And, of course, if he is playing that Floodborn Sisu, that could be huge into Thomas's board of Rapunzel and Ursula, Vanessa. And to be honest, a great deal of the Steel Song characters are removed by that Sisu empowered sibling. So Thomas has certainly got to be aware of that. But look at all these cards in his hand.
No, so that's what I'm more worried about. If I'm playing stuff like Daisy, I'm more worried about that. Because at least Be Prepared gets rid of, like, the Sisu and all of that. Whereas the Sisu just gets rid of yours, not your opponent's. Here comes Robin Hood. Here comes another ink. Here comes Daisy. Duck, Donald's date.
So we are seeing that extension that you talked about there. And to be honest, like you say, give you credit. If Cyril does B-Prep here, it removes his whole board, and then Thomas gets to basically be the one to start re-establishing a board. And I think he's got more cards in his hands. So even if a B-Prep was to happen here, Thomas may not feel that bad about it.
And there's a little hedge here. You got 2 in hand. Play 1 now. Give yourself that extension for lore, but then keep the other one for after a potential Be Prepared.
Yep. When you write, you write. But, of course, this Sisu is really threatening the board here. The Robin Hood champion of Sherwood, of course, with 3 strength, will stay out of range of that. And this is a great character to have down. Means that at any point, Thomas can sing Grab Your Sword, A Whole New World, Along Came Zeus. Robin Hood very much a staple of Steel, well, in the vast majority of Steel decks since his release in Into the Inklands.
One of those cards that's so good, it doesn't matter what the other ink in the pairing is, you're probably going to be playing Robin Hood in there. It is that good a card. Can't say that about everyone.
No.
So we're back over to Cyril here. Does look like there's a library in hand, which could end up being good for card draw. Instead, we're going Friends on the other side, being sung by Elsa, drawing an extra couple of cards here.
And let's not forget, Elsa has evasive, so she's pretty safe, apart from, obviously, those songs that Thomas could play.
Yeah, Thomas does play a lot of those songs, though. They can get really annoying.
Losing the name, right?
Yeah, mistimed grab your swords. The amount of times I've been board wiped by grab your swords, it's not a fun feeling.
Yeah, and the Grab Your Sword is definitely one of those cards that helps better against the decks that want to go wide with smaller bodies. So, like, Steel Song matchups, they can be very good, but against Ruby Sapphire with its bigger bodies like Tamatoa, not so good.
Maui comes in, takes out the Rapunzel, gifted with healing, only takes 1 damage back in return, and that is one of those big bodies. Maui again, if you're playing Ruby, you're probably playing Maui.
Yeah, I would expect so. 5 lore on the board for Thomas, well, as in through characters.
Yes.
So would be able to jump up to 16 on the next turn. Cyril's going to get his first lore onto the board, jumping up to 5, courtesy of a couple of Sisus, and was it that Elsa as well? Maybe he was already on 1.
The Elsa was singing. The Elsa song.
Yeah, I thought so. Yes, I must have already been on 1 then, and we're just gaining 4 through those Sisu.
Was already on 1. Yes, that's correct.
Go. But Thomas still with this huge hand, and you see a couple of those Prince Naveen's. That has been a really powerful addition to the deck. Just another really solid singer that you can put onto the board, and like you could think of it as having like a free use of Along Came Zeus, or a free use of A Whole New World, which can be super good.
This is such a frustrating position for Thomas, because what you really want to do right now, play down your characters, go super wide and go, I only need 7 lore next turn. You can't take them all out, I win. The problem is, you can take them all out, because Be Prepared is a card.
And Sisu is a card.
Yep, so you've got to make sure that you keep enough. You know, you want to go wide enough to give yourself the win next turn, while also preparing against them. Down goes Maui, Strength of a Raging Fire.
On Maui.
Very nice if you are playing a lot of characters, but we are going wider. We got Piglet, Pooh, Pirate Captain, we got Daisy Duck. Cyril needs Be Prepared this turn. If you don't, you will lose this game.
Or Sisu would do it, but we don't even know if it's in the deck. Is that Malamim Elephant we just saw off the top? No, it was another Elsa, my mistake.
Oh my word, I'm not seeing anything in that hand, Baker, which is going to save Cyril here.
No, either am I, unfortunately. It looks like, how much lore on board? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, courtesy of the Piglet, as long as there's two other characters. So
even if we assume, let's assume all the exerted characters get challenged and banished. There's still, by my count, 7 lore, because 3 for the pirate, because you'd have 3 characters, so Piglet would go up to 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's 7 and you only need 4.
This is Be Prep, Sisu or Bust, and unfortunately we do not have either of the aforementioned. So, yeah, I think this is probably over. But again, Cyril maybe will just play this out regardless for a couple of reasons. One, like, learn more, like just learn from your mistakes as you play out the rest of the game, but maybe also we can get a bit more information about Thomas's deck.
Well, there is a broom. Can you play a character to banish the broom?
That's true.
Draw a card. It's Madam Mim Snake.
I'm just not sure we have enough ink anymore is the problem.
No, I don't think we do either, but it was a Madam Mim Snake. It's a moot point, but...
Yeah, no, worth bringing up. But
always looking for that big finish, aren't we? Always looking for the big swing.
Of course. But yeah, with just 6 ink, now that we've played that Kuzco...
That is going to be the game. Yep. Cyril's picking up the cards, and we see that Steel Song takes game 1. Thomas Cavaliere is up 1 game, and now, can he win a second? Because this next one is worth 4 points now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. If Thomas is able to win it, we'll get that bonus point. But yeah, Steel Song just showing its really aggressive style in that deck. It can go a lot wider. It's a lot faster than Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst really needs those turns to build to the B Prep, to build to the Medusa. We don't even know if the Sisu empowered sibling is in the deck.
We didn't see it.
We'll see. But again, I think the Steel Song player went first that game. So yeah, makes sense that they would be the aggressor. Can the Ruby Amethyst player mix it up now that they're on the play?
Yeah, it really is those key turns. If your opponent goes wide, you need to, and you've got answers. If you find those answers and clear your opponent's board, they really do end up in potentially in a very awkward situation of just not being able to rebuild their board. One of the things I really liked, though, there was that we saw that the hand was kept fresh.
Yes.
There were potential to put the cards down, go really wide. Even though the Be Prepared never came down, the Sisu never came down, constantly preparing just in case.
Yep, that's clues in the name, Be Prepared. Very intentionally chosen, because it sounds like I'm being cheesy, but that's very intentionally chosen because you do need to make sure that you are thoroughly equipped for that turn 7. You know.
If there's one thing we know, the card designers are very clearly thinking about the name and the theme of these cards. We saw the the Chippendale card from Azurite Sea.
The new one, the duo.
It lowers by 3 damage. It lowers strength by 3, and there are exactly 3 acorns being dropped from the plane.
Oh, right,
because it's a -3. But there's little details like that. So no, I agree. Be prepared. It literally is saying, no, seriously, be prepared for this card. I'm gonna wipe your whole board.
Yeah, but you just got to love the detail that's gone into the Lorcana trading card game. Not just cool card design, not just a fantastic story, but incredibly deep gameplay, and the deck building, especially through our inking system, I genuinely think is second to none. And it's no surprise that trading card game veterans all around the world are turning their eye to the Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah, Lorcana is not a secret anymore. Everybody knows that it is. You know, it's a card game which is growing exponentially. We've just had our first anniversary. Cheers for wearing the pin that I don't have yet.
You're very welcome.
That makes me feel good about myself.
Yep, no, you're very welcome, Ross.
It's all right. I'll put out some feelers. I think tomorrow on stream, I might be rocking that bad boy. So.
Oh, that's not the best start. We ink the library. We do miss the 1 drop. I'm not even sure how many. We know that there are Chernobogs and Brooms, so I'm going to assume there are 8 1-drops, 4 of each.
If you play, nowadays, if you're playing Amethyst, 4 Chernobogs, 4 Broom, 4 library, jobs are good, and that's just your starting 12. Oh, we don't get the turn 1 Daisy Duck, but we do get the turn 1 Robin Hood.
Yep, that's a little less quest pressure, but is establishing that character for a shift line to get to the Champion of Sherwood. We pass over, we're going to ink, and down comes that Kuzco, a nice, really nice character. You always feel comfortable putting a Kuzco on the board because he's always going to, well, always, unless he's sent to the Inkwell by Hades or something, but when banished, you're always going to replace the card. You can need combo really nice with Merlin Crab to trade up with the Kuzco, so it has fallen off a little bit in Modern Ruby Amethyst, but I'm a fan. On the other side, we see the Ursula Vanessa coming down, and then just a pass straight back. No point exerting and questing with that Robin Hood. Ross, is there?
Nah, keep it as a shift target. You're not getting enough out of it for the moment.
And the Fox could come down and just ruin its day.
I mean, yeah, that as well, now that Cyril's going to be on free ink. One of the cool things about Amethyst right now, there's a lot of cards that replace each other. The Kuzco you mentioned, Chernobog's Followers, we've got Broom, and all of them, it's a banish. Kuzco is when banished, Broom and Chernobog give you an option to banish. But if you do it in the library, then each of those cards, you lose the 1 and you gain 2 cards in hand. It is consistency, which is huge, but that is a second library in the Inkwell now, as a Madam Fox does come down. Good job that Robin Hood isn't exerted.
It is a good job, and no, you're right. The library, definitely a location that has got a lot of people's attention, and especially with a build like this that Cyril's playing with Broom, Chernobogs, and the Kuzco, going to be lots of really cheap characters to be able to move into that library and hopefully draw some more cards. But yeah, that Fox coming down. Thankfully, the Robin Hood didn't exert. Pass to Thomas, who's going to ink another of those alternate art foil, non-foil Rapunzels. Probably a playset in here, and down comes the Pooh Pirate Captain. I do like Piglet, Ross.
Oh, that Piglet is such a nice card. If you've got 2 other characters on board, you get to quest for free, and it's only 2 cost. It's inkable. I'm a big fan of this card. I mean, it's a target. A lot of the time you lose it before it does very much, but if you can keep it on the board, speaking of which, if you can keep it on the board, it is such a wonderful card. But Brawl, unfortunately, it's, you know, Piglet, out the snuggly duckling, as you might tell us, and unfortunately, well, let's just hope that has given him a bit of protection.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I do want to make this point. Oh, okay, so I'll come back to it because we see the Naveen come down and immediately plays the whole new world. Discard it. Both players discarding their hands and drawing a fresh 7. So fresh resources for both our players.
Yeah, and Prince Naveen, of course, yes, it is a Singer 6. But when you play it, you get to play a 6-cost song with no downside bare necessities.
We do, because it is any non-character card. So one of these Queen's Castles is a fantastic option.
Yeah, I think that's got to be. I think it's actually,
yeah, it's the only option.
They are the only options.
Harken back to my previous point quickly, Ross, if you don't mind. Yeah, super interesting. While that brawl onto the Piglet was like kind of necessary to take the pressure off, super passive turn from Cyril. Like Thomas, I think, was quite happy to have that Piglet brawl, because yes, he lost the character, lost the potential for 3 lore, but Cyril just didn't do anything else. Inked, played the brawl, and then Thomas got a whole new turn. was a good response, but super passive, and Thomas, again, probably going to be quite happy with that. But both players with fresh hands now. Cyril is going to ink that Magic Broom, bringing them to 5 ink, and we're going to be very thankful that Thomas is only sitting at 2 lore, while he's a bit close, while Cyril's a bit closer to the Medusa and the B-Prep turn. Elsa coming down to remove that Robin Hood. This is looking better, Ross.
Yeah, of course, it looks like it was played like an action card, but you play it, you get to exert a character, you choose Robin Hood, you've got Rush, you challenge right away. Robin Hood goes down immediately, and here comes your Ariel. Get to look at the top 4 cards and find a
Oh no,
song.
hold on, was that strength at the top? Oh, it was. Sorry, the first card I thought was a character. I thought we'd missed. I've been on edge all day about Ariel missing, but yeah, that spectacular singer, so good. Finding a song, I think it was a strength, and then representing a singer 5.
Yeah, not too bad. We got singer 5, we got singer 6, we got singer, is Ursula singer 4?
Yeah, Ursula
Singer
Vanessa is singer 4, Ariel singer 5, and Prince Naveen
singer 6.
There we go. A whole bunch of singers. Again, clues in the name.
General rule, your singer lets you sing a song 2 above what you usually would. So we see an inked Robin Hood, and we see double Daisy Duck Donald's date. And if I get any more D words in that, I totally would have done.
A really aggressive play, and probably prompted by the prior turn when Thomas sang Bare Necessities to scout out Cyril's hand, saw that there was no way to deal with this full board. Of course, Cyril could draw into a B prep, but he's still only going into his 6 ink turn. So, yeah, Thomas really putting on the gas here and now.
Never underestimate the power of seeing your opponent's hand. Knowing what they do and don't have access to. And look, every time they draw a card, you get less and less information. They've got more than they had before. But just being able to go, unless you've drawn into it. Oh, and here we go. This is going to be a big questing turn.
It is.
Daisy alone is getting 4 lore here. And then, of course, we got 3 singers, so... yeah, if I'm Thomas, I wouldn't mind drawing about 5 cards right now, but otherwise this is going to be a fun turn. Has he got no cards in hand?
No, it's 3 cards in hand for Thomas. He's got the dice on it.
Ah, okay, he's popped them off to the side.
Yeah,
okay, now
Cyril
I see.
has done the same. Yeah, while I was just having a look at Cyril's hand, didn't see a Sisu. I don't even know if there's a Sisu in the deck, Ross, and it's kind of necessary at this point in time. B-Prep would also help, but Sisu would be a lot better not having to give up his Cyril's own board.
Yeah, wiping your opponent's board without wiping yours and leaving a very large body on the board at the same time is always a huge win. But right now, it's very much like we saw in the end game of game 1 just a little bit earlier. Cyril needs an option to Thomas's very wide board because, okay, fine, Thomas only at 4 lore now. He's going to start running away with this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, Cyril's got a lot of catching up to do. You got to think he's one of, if there is a big Sisu, that would be the target really to level the board and then start to accumulate some resources. But yeah, Thomas putting on a lot of pressure. 3 cards in hand as well if Cyril is able to do anything with this board. A little smile on Cyril's face, I think, just accepting that this is a bad position, but it's far from over. Thankfully, Thomas only at 4 lore, so we've got some time. Cyril can still pull this back.
He can. If Thomas can finish out this game, Thomas will go to 41 points. So that means that if he either gets 2 wins in his next round or the final round, or 1 win in each, he would then be at 47, 48 points, which should be safe for top cut. So going into those last 2 rounds, knowing a 2-0 or 2-1-1s get you in, that is going to be a good position. It's not day 2, but if Thomas wins this second game here, he is going to be in a very, very strong position for making it into day 2. Do we have a judge call or something going on right now, Baker? Because it seems to have stopped.
I think that Cyril is just really weighing up this turn. I think it's a super important one. The pace of play has been super good so far, Ross,
yeah.
so I think this is more than acceptable. Like, if you can have a good pace of play throughout the majority of the game, I think it's very understandable when you reach those really pinnacle turns. Give me a minute. Let me really weigh this up.
No, I'm not opposed to that. It is always, everyone went very quiet for a moment while I was talking about points and all of that. Now, we've seen, of course, 44 points often, sometimes enough. 45 generally is what you're aiming for the bubble. 46 should be safe,
Look at the top
not
card.
a guarantee. It's Chernobox followers, goes into Cyril's hand.
Second one questing. We find a rabbit, very nice. Of course, this could be counterproductive if Thomas builds to a whole new world, but you've got to play the game. Like, you can't just not ever draw cards because you're worried about a whole new world. Like, at the end of the day, even if you play the rabbits and the draw stuff, you make them have to play the whole new world.
Yes.
And then at least you've still got 7 cards. So while I still think there's something to be said about being maybe a little reserved and maybe prioritize Sisus and goats in the early game, at some point, you need to play the game.
Yeah, agreed entirely. Now,
do what your deck does.
Does look like we've got a
Storm Rage on.
let the Storm Rage on, doing damage to Sisu and drawing a card. We have quested with both the Daisy Ducks going up to 8 lore, and we've still got Ursula and Prince Naveen ready to go.
Yeah, this is an aggressive-looking field. Ursula Vanessa, I think, going to be singing. She does indeed sing, and then along came Zeus right at this Sisu. Well, one of them, the one that's not no damage so far. We're going to quest all the way up to 10. We're going to pay 5 for Robin Hood, champion of Sherwood, and passing over to Cyril. Can he find that Be Prepared? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, Ross. I'm seeing a Friends, which is going to come down, sung by the Sisu. He knows he's got to find it.
Yeah, if you find, oh, it's in hand. He's got it.
He's got it.
It's right in the front of the hand.
Be prepared.
And I always need to remember when I'm talking about Be Prepared to stop for a second, let you do your thing. That was huge. There was so much on Thomas's board.
Yep.
Thomas could, I don't know if he had game on board next turn, but he wasn't far away. And here's the thing, because Thomas put so many cards down, there's so many fewer options now after the Be Prepared. We have an aerial down, we've hit a Strength of a Raging Fire, but it's not looking phenomenal. Piglet, Pooh, Pirate, Captain, no, but you will still need a third character to activate the extra free lore.
Yeah, but I would have said, like, Thomas may well already have that other character and potentially could have even played it, but just doesn't want to extend yet into a potential another Be Prepared, because Thomas can just put down that third character on his next turn and then immediately trigger Piglet's 3 lore. But
yes, agreed.
Maybe he just doesn't have the character, though, but I think it's reasonable that you would maybe be a little reserved here. We're going to sing Friends on the other side. Draw 2 cards.
What did we see?
I'm seeing a Brawl, a Snake, a Chernabog, a Rabbit, a Fox, and Elsa 5th Spirit.
Yeah, no Be Prepared yet, but drawing that off the Friends on the other side was absolutely huge on that last turn. Elsa comes down again, takes out the Piglet. Of course, it always looks like an action card, but it's a very quick play, exert, rush, challenge, gone.
Yeah, I mean, Elsa 5th Spirit in some ways kind of similar to Brawl, kind of fills that same sort of role a lot of the time. Obviously not always, because obviously there are a lot of differentials here, but a lot of players may be going to a lower count of Brawl, finding that this Elsa kind of can do the work, remove that Piglet. It can also deal with Diablo as long as it's not at the Cove. So yeah, this 5th Spirit definitely finding a good place in the Ruby Amethyst deck.
Great card. We did see the Elsa taken down by Strength of a Raging Fire, and then Thomas played down that Mr. Smee and Cinderella. But Cyril here looks like we have gotten rid of the aerial as well with a Brawl.
It's big.
And plays the Rabbit. Why is it so big?
It's big, Ross, because now we don't have a singer on the board. Well, we have Cinderella, Ballroom Sensation, but she can only sing as 3-cost songs. Yeah. So I think just shutting down this aerial's ability to sing Along Came Zeus, Whole New World, Grab Your Swords, that puts Thomas in a much more restricted position. Cyril can hopefully start to build the momentum back. We do see a second Mr. Smee hit the board after a quest from the first. The Rabbit is going to trade into the Bumbling Mates, taking them both out, drawing an extra card. So yeah, Cyril just really needs to do his best to keep Thomas at bay here and then hopefully climb all the way back up. We saw it not too long ago, Ross. The last match, I believe, that you were commentating, one player was at 0, one player was at 12. The player at 0 went on to win that game. So everything could change.
Oh, things can change in a heartbeat. We see more ink coming down here with that Sisu. We see a Madame Medusa coming down. Does get to banish a character. It's going to be the Cinderella. And the board wiping from Cyril here is working. This deck is supposed to be able to control the opponent's board. It is supposed to be able to take them all out. And it's working quite nicely, frankly.
This has changed.
Oh, my goodness. We see an early concession there. And it looks like, has Cyril One with 2 lore on the board?
I'm super surprised. That does everything about that body language presented to me that Thomas was scooping that. He was topping, didn't have much on the board. I definitely think he could have played that out a couple more turns because a whole new world maybe, or an aerial into a whole new world could have made a big difference. Oh no, Thomas is being decided as the winner there.